Hey you guys, it's Jim Stone with Bear Lake Brand TV and Jim Stone Living Wild. We're doing a really wild thing today. We're up in Bear Lake, Utah, and we're looking at the Utah chub spawn. And these are amazing fish, you guys. They always come in about the 1st of June. They'll stay in for about 2 or 3 weeks. They come up into the rocks to drop their eggs. They're kind of neat. The Utah suckers are mostly found in Bear Lake. There's another sucker called the June sucker, and it was actually down in towards southern Utah. Utah Lake is pretty famous for them. They actually became almost endangered, and now the numbers are coming back so that there's getting to be a healthy population of them again. But these are great fish, and you know, with me it's amazing. We kind of lost some of our heritage. These Utah suckers are a wonderful food source. They're good table fare. They're big fish. They're probably about 2 to 4 pounds. There's gazillions of them in the lake. They're really a neat fish. They have a white, light, flaky meat. It's not like a trout. They're more like, probably like a perch or a bluegill or a walleye. And these fish are coming in by the millions right now. The female right there, you can see she's laying her eggs, and then the male will come in behind her and fertilize the eggs. It takes all of about a couple seconds. But anyway, it's kind of all this craziness in the world with this COVID-19. Back in the day in Bear Lake, these were a food source to all the locals. I was talking to one of our previous mayors from about 60 years ago, and when they were kids and during the Depression and the hard times, when money was tight and food was tight, the kids would come and catch these fish, put them in gunny sacks, and then they would take them door to door and sell them for a nickel a piece to a dime a piece, depending on the size of the fish. And again, they're a wonderful, wonderful table fare. It's hard because sometimes we get the opinion because something isn't as beautiful as like a trout or something that they're not good eating, but in this case they really are. They're not fishy at all. Anyway, they're a wonderful food source, and this is really neat to come down in this crystal clear water of Bear Lake and watch these fish spawn. They're just amazing fish, and there's just literally, I've been standing here about 5 minutes, and there's literally thousands of fish coming by me right now. And these are big fish. One other thing I really like for these fish is there's no limit on them. There's really no method of catching them. You might double check your regulations, but I love using these fish for fish bait. And next to the Bonneville Cisco, which is kind of like a little herring that's endemic to Bear Lake, and you can pretty much only catch them in January. These fish are catchable year-round. And what I do is I'll keep a couple for dinner today, and I'll fillet them, and I'll show you guys some fillets. And then I'll take about 5 or 10 of them, and I'll fillet them, and then I'll cut the fillets into little strips, and then I'll put them on like a lead weight jig and drop them down to the bottom to catch the big lake trout and the big cutthroat trout. They're a great fish bait. They work good in crayfish traps. They work good pretty much for about everything. Look at all these fish. They just cruise these banks until they find the appropriate place to spawn, and then they come into these rocks to procreate, and then they swim back out. Anyway, check out this wild place, you guys. I love doing wild things, and me and my dogs love living on the land, and it's kind of something we've all forgot, part of our heritage. And when food gets short, these fish could come in handy. It's again a sustainable food source, and gosh, there's just lots and lots of fish. So anyway, let me back off this and I'll show you guys kind of what I like to do with these fish. This is what they look like filleted, you guys, and look at that beautiful piece of meat. There's just nothing wrong with that at all. And I got about a half a pound of meat off 2 fish. Beautiful white fish. It's not fishy, it's wonderful. Then what I'll do is I'll take them and I'll cut them in strips with the skin still on them, something like that. And then you can see I've got a tube jig here, and I always hook the tube jig or the hook through the fleshy part of the meat and then through the scales. And why I do this, when that drops down to the bottom and you're jigging it, those scales create a glare, and you can see that sunshine on those scales, and that will attract your big cruiser fish, your big cutthroats and your big lake trout to eat these fish. Or eat your hook, and then you got a big trout for dinner. But anyway, guys, again, that is a fillet of fish. You can see how solid it is. It's just wonderful. So anyway, you guys, just wanted to share Bear Lake TV and Jim Stone Living Wild. We're here on Bear Lake, Utah, and great time to come up and get something nice for your dinner table, or catch some fishing bait for the rest of the season. So anyway, gotta send a great big smile to you guys. Be safe out in this world with all this crazy stuff going on. All right, love you guys. See ya.